Hello, this is a video on how to play Garbage. Now, Garbage, also known as Trash, is a very simple card game that can be played by two or more players. In this case, we are playing with two players, and so the turns will be going back and forth. However, if you play with more than two players, then if you play with more than two players, then you'll simply be going in a circle, um, just like any other turn-based game. So what you will need is a 52 card deck. If you're playing with four or more players, you need an additional 52 card deck. For every four players you play with, you need an additional 52 cards. And so you can actually play with like 20 players if you'd like, but you need five decks of cards, right, for each four players, and then for every four players, and so essentially just keep track of how many players you have and adjust the decks accordingly. And so you set up the game by giving each player 10 cards, one card at a time. The remaining deck is placed in the middle. The cards remain face down, as you can see. You set up your cards in two rows of 5. Ace, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Note that my opponent would have his 10 in the top left corner and his ace in the bottom right corner, because it is from the player's perspective that they set up the cards in the following configuration, assigning the ace value to their first card in their first row and the 10 value to the fifth card in their second row. The objective of the game is to be the first player to line up your cards in the sequence outlined as we have here, with ace, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You want this card sequence. And so the player left of the dealer goes first. In this case, we don't really know who the dealer was since it was automatic. But if you're playing in real life, the player left of the dealer goes first. In the first round, each player has 10 card spots. The spots are numbered ace to 10, starting from the player's left, from their perspective. When a numbered card is drawn, the card is placed in the corresponding spot. For example, a 5 drawn would be placed in the 5th spot in the first row. The face down card in the 5th spot is then flipped up and can also be moved accordingly. When a player can no longer make a move, a discard takes place to end the turn. The next player can take the top discard pile and the trash pile, or they can draw the top card of the deck. Jacks are wild cards and can be put in any spot. Kings and queens are garbage and are discarded when picked up. Aces are placed in the ace spot. Once a player has flipped up all of his/her cards, each other player gets one more turn. And so let's just start out with, just disregard that last statement there. Let's just start out playing the game. We will draw a card. We draw a 6. We place it in the spot that says 6. We flip up that card. What is it? We realize it's a 7. We place it in place of the card at the 7 spot, flipping up that card. That card is a 2. The objective is just to flip up all of your cards. As such, it is quite a simple game. We place our 3 in the 3 spot, flipping it up. Jack is our wild card, and so we'll place it in the ace spot, and luckily for us, we get a 10. We get a 5. We cannot place our 3, and so we trash it. Now it's our opponent's turn. As you can see, you simply place the card in its respective spot. That's a 2. We trash it. That's a 4. We place it in the spot where we have a 4. We trash it. We take that ace because we like the ace. that we can put in place of our jack. Then we can move our jack, our wild card, into the 9 spot. And so that is how you win garbage. Now, that's considered one round of garbage. However, how the way most people actually play is by continuing after one round. And so a round is once one player has flipped up all 10 of their cards. In real life and in other versions, the more well-known version is where you play until you get 0 cards. And what I mean is that the winner of the round only needs to make a sequence from 1 to 9 in the next round. And so since I won that round, if we were continuing, I would not need to flip up or place a card in place of 10. I would only have 9 cards. I would start the round off with 9 cards. Then, if I won again, I'd start the next round with 8 cards. You get that little bit of an advantage when playing garbage, in that if you win the previous round, you start the next round with 1 less card in your sequence, and so you can make a sequence quicker. The player who gets to 1 card in their sequence, right? So if you win with 10 cards, then you'll get to 9 cards, then you'll get to 8 cards, then you will get to 7 cards, then you will get to 6 cards, 5, 4, 3, 2, and then you will get to 1 card if you successfully flip up 2 cards when you get to that point. Then, once you're at the 1 card point, if you successfully place an ace, because remember you place 1 less card each time, removing the highest value card from your sequence after you win a round. If you are at the 1 card stage and you flip up an ace and place it in, well then you have won that round and you win the game. And so let's sum up the rules for cribbage. The objective of the game is to be the first player to line up your cards in a sequence. The jacks are wild cards. Wild cards can move. And so, for example, a player with a wild card in the 2 spot that draws a 2 can replace the wild card with the 2. The wild card can then be moved to a different spot. And so you simply be the first player to line up your cards in a sequence by drawing a card from the draw pile or the discard pile if the card in the discard pile is a card you need. Every time you win a round by flipping up all your cards in a sequence, you remove 1 card, and so in the next round you will make a shorter sequence, giving you a little bit of an advantage. The first player to get to the round where they only have to put 1 card in a sequence, being the ace, and if they put that card in the sequence, they win the game. The winner of a round is the first player to flip all of their cards up in the round. The winner of the game is the first player to flip up an ace when they only need to flip up 1 card. So flip up an ace in their last round. That wraps up how to play garbage/trash.